Nicholas Bruce. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good, man. Good. Welcome to the Popko Project Podcast. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I made it. I said this year I wanted to kind of branch out and interview people who weren't just musicians because when I started this, it just kind of gravitated towards musicians. So I'm really happy that you reached out and I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm really glad to be on here. I like supporting all local people. I mean, I grew up in the music scene. I used to book like a small roller skating rink in McAdoo, Pennsylvania. So
Oh, let's
from going from music to comedy has always been a wild ride.
we'll talk about that.
Cool. Yeah,
But yeah, you are currently the manager at Wisecrackers Comedy Club located in Mohegan, Pennsylvania Casino.
correct. Yeah.
Um, how long have you been doing that for?
I mean, I was born into it. My father was a stand-up comedian. He still is. He's semi-retired, but mostly not really retired. At this point, I have been running the club for, let's go with about 12 years, maybe 13. But the last 5 years, 6 years, I've really taken over completely booking, management, table cleaning, vacuuming, lights, camera, sound, everything. I mean, you name it, I do it. I'm doing taxes, paperwork. If there's a thing to be done, I do it at this point, and my schedule never ceases to end. I wake up and put out fires, and I go to bed thinking about fires.
Well, yeah, I saw you. I attended a show for Paul Spratt.
Yeah, the special. Yeah.
Yep, that was a lot of fun. I saw you running around like a nut.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I'm there, I mean, it's funny because like Fridays and Saturdays, I joke that that's like the only day that I really have to work because like the show's that night. But Sunday to Thursday during the day, I'm not wearing pants most of the time. I'm just sitting around in my underwear and a t-shirt. But my phone, I think I remember I switched to iPhone like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, because I was just tired of messages not going through to comics that all have iPhones. And I had the iPhone 12 for like a year and a half. And I was like, why is my battery dying all the time? And I went to the Apple store and they're like, you're called a power user. And I was like, what? I've never heard that term thrown that loosely before, but okay. And I've got the 16 now, and I don't even think it makes it through a whole day without being charged twice because I send a lot of texts and messages apparently.
Yeah, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
get to that too. Before we get into all that Wisecrackers is now and kind of how it started, and because it wasn't always at the casino, so
No.
kind of
Yeah.
want to talk about the stages of Wisecrackers. But as far as a personal standpoint, are you from NEPA? Like where are you from? How did you kind
So
of get to where you
I
are
was
today?
born in Brooklyn. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
I
good.
was born in Brooklyn, raised in Montclair, New Jersey, and then we moved here. We moved to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, West Hazleton to be exact, in '96 or '98. I want to say. I was young. I don't remember. I just remember it was Christmas time because it was snowing really hard, and I was in first grade there, I was going into second grade there, and when we moved here, I was the weird cutoff age for Pennsylvania. Like, so they put me back into first grade, which I thought was funny. So when I graduated, I was the oldest in my class. But
That's
no,
crap.
I'm kind of a transplant here, but I mean, I've been here 30 years at this point. So I've known it my entire life.
So you're one of us. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know all the terms. I know all the lingo. I know all the food. I know everything.
good.
Yeah.
Hanging out or no?
Hannah? Oh, yeah. Hannah. G?
Gee, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I used to work with a bar. It was in I guess it was close to Nanacoke, I want to
Mhm.
say. And I had never really heard that term before, I don't think. Maybe I did, just didn't really pay attention. But it was called BF Jeets.
Oh,
And I'm like, and that's when I was an adult. I'm like, what does that mean? And it was like after that
yeah.
slang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a while to get here. I remember I was in like I think I was in like second or third grade, and one of my teachers kept saying "use," and I was like, I don't think that's the plural of "you,"
Yeah, I
but
don't like that one.
I'm like, all right, and I still don't like it. I don't, and double negatives always bothers me too. Like a lot, that seems to be I mean, it's getting around the world now, but I remember that being like a big thing when I was growing up. Like people would be like, "You can't not do that," and I was like, "I what?" I think that's a double there. You're not supposed to say
Yeah,
that. And like
yeah.
I'm not a smart man by any means, but I knew that was wrong. I was like, that's not how that sentence is supposed to be
Yeah.
structured.
I say that, but in a joking manner. It's like very
Yeah. Oh yeah.
sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't not.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where I'll say something and I'm like, that doesn't sound right, but you get what I'm going
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. What are some other good ones? Hey, no, no, Jeet.
Yeah.
Use is good.
Use I mean, I remember like my mom always called the remote the clicker. That was a thing that I didn't hear anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. My friend's
Um,
parents called it the clicker too.
yeah, the Mac machine growing up was a big one.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ATM,
How about
uh,
batteries? Batteries?
batteries, yeah,
Radiator?
radiator. There was a weird way Garrity's supermarkets. Somebody growing up used to say it differently, and then it just kind of stuck in my head, and I can't remember how they said it now. There's a lot of weird like wording around here that I just never quite. I
Yeah.
was like, how'd you guys get this?
Well, I mean, it's like Pittsburgh has
Oh, yins.
yeah, I can't stand it.
I like yins.
I don't like it. My friend used, he's from northeastern Pennsylvania and he moved out to Pittsburgh in probably I want to say 2015 or 16. And
Mhm.
he's since converted to saying yins and he'll do it in text messages too. I'm like, I'm not talking to you now.
I mean, I have a lot of friends where I just stop talking to them because of the way they say stuff to me. I'm like, nah, I'll see you in
And
person.
yeah,
I'm not having this conversation anymore.
I can't tell if he's trying to be funny or if that's he's just like he's that way now.
I mean, it's just a thing they do out there. I
Yeah.
mean, I have family in State College that uses it, and I'm like, you're 3 hours from there.
Yeah.
I
There's
get
one
it, but
worse
I
than that.
don't.
There's one worse than
Yeah.
that. I can't think of what it is from Pittsburgh.
Mm,
It's gonna kill me. His wife Tara
yeah.
says it, and I was like, "That's worse than Yins."
I can't think of one off the top of my head for Pittsburgh.
I don't know. But anyways, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right. Yeah, yeah.
Got off the topic of your history here.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in West Hazleton. Then we moved to Drums in 2000, and I've been living in Wilkes-Barre for I want to say 8 years now. Got a little apartment here. It's not too
Big
bad.
big city.
Yeah, yeah, big city living. Dreams come true.
I mean, as far as being a manager of a comedy club, have you? I know you said your dad was a comedian, so like,
Mhm.
was that just kind of the path that you just kind of inherently took, or how did you kind of get involved with that?
Well, my parents opened the comedy club in probably '99. I want to say. I think that sounds
Wisecrackers.
right. Yeah,
Okay,
they
cool.
opened it, and originally we had, I want to say, almost 12 locations. We had one in Hazleton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I guess it would have been Music also at the time at Marvelous Mugs,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
right by Cinemark there.
yeah.
Then we had Stroudsburg, Tannersville, Allentown, and State College.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it started slimming down, and we only had Scranton and Stroudsburg and Allentown and State College. Then we reopened Wilkes-Barre in I was in high school, so probably 2004. We opened like a actual location for our own right behind Janetti's
Yeah.
in
So
downtown Wilkes-Barre.
that's how I remember
Yeah.
wisecrackers as like in my life. I used to work across the street, well diagonally across the street in the Times Theater building.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the Weekender was.
Yeah.
So and I never went there when it was there. Sadly, what was that space like?
So it was. the old, I don't remember what that building was before we took it over. I guess it would have been a dance hall or something the Genettis owned. And we were on the first floor, and then above it were apartments, but they were mostly abandoned from what I gather. And then the basement we had renovated into a bar. And the first floor was long, like lengthwise, but short widthwise. So you'd come in and it would just be like a long straight shot to the back of the room. There was a fireplace back there, which was really weird because I don't think the fireplace ever worked. And then the stage was like if you come in through the doors and the back walls there, stage would have been off to your right, and then I would have been at the podium there. You would have paid me, and then you would have went. I would have sat you and stuff there. We had a kitchen for a little bit there, like we just had like snacks and stuff. Bar. It was a very small room. I mean, we probably sat like maybe 200. I want to remember, but all the tables and chairs that we had there, we still have. And then when we moved to the casino, we closed that location in the Scranton location.
So it's just the one now?
Yeah. Well, we
Okay.
still have State College, but that's only
Okay.
seasonally. That one my uncle runs part-time for us. We do like maybe 4 shows a year for it.
Okay.
But the main focus is at Mohegan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is how you grew up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, my dad was on the road 24/7, 365, maybe 363 if he felt like taking Christmas and another holiday off. But I mean, he was traveling for comedy, and then on the weekends, my mom was running the comedy club, and I was home pretty much alone. And then when I got older, I'd help out and go and see people or make drinks if I was allowed to when I turned 16 or 18. And then after that, it was just I would run the room whenever I could and stuff like that. And then when my dad finally got off the road, he just started, taking small gigs locally. We did some stuff for the Poconos at like Pocono Palace, Cove Haven, Paradise Stream, those places. He books those out still. But this is between us, not my favorite place. They're good people, but they're not good at paying people. But he books that and he'll work there occasionally. And then he'll come fill in at our room every now and then.
So have you ever tried your hand at comedy, or are you kind of like behind the scenes / front of house type of deal?
I tried a little bit, but I've always found that I'm much better. Like I'm funnier on like a 1-to-1 level or like a group of friends kind of level, like a bar scene level, like just a conversation level, not so much of like a on stage presence. I just never really got into it. I'm also industry talk, but I'm a much better hang than a comic. Like I'm really good at just like after the show, grabbing drinks, bullshitting. Sorry if we're not allowed to curse.
Oh yeah, it's the internet. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm much better at just like hanging out, having drinks, and just shooting the shit for a couple hours. And it's just like one of those things that like once I realized that I'm not great at business either, but I'm pretty good at it. Once I realized that that's like my niche thing, that like I know what I'm doing. I much rather just pay people to be funny. That's where I stuck with it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. You
Yeah.
gotta know your lane, you know?
Yeah. I can't put an air conditioner in a window, so I'll pay somebody.
Right.
I can't be funny. I'll pay somebody.
That's how I am too. I probably overspend. Like I'm not going to try and watch a YouTube video to fix something in my house because I'll just make it worse and it'll take me 2 or 3 times as long.
Yeah.
But there's people for that.
Yeah. That's exactly my philosophy on it. I mean, if it's something that I think I know I can do, I'll fix it. But if it's not, if the first YouTube video I don't get it, the second one's not going to help.
Yeah. So what happened? Why would there? You sound like there's like between like 5 and 10 locations, and it's down to like now it's 2. Like what happened? Was it the landscape that changed? Was it just a strategic thing to do?
I think it was the landscape and a strategic thing at the same time. I mean, when we were in like the Stroudsburg, Tannersville area, those rooms closed. The hotels that we were dealing with at the time, they just started going under. The money was like starting to like slowly get lost in the shuffle with them. They weren't dealing with us. When we were in Scranton, we closed that one to move to Mohegan, so it was like a wash there. We were on our way out of that room anyway. We were looking for a new place. Allentown, we were using that, like we had a franchise with somebody for that room for a while, and then that kind of just fell apart, and things just kind of split ways during the pandemic. Not to get political, but we didn't like Wisecrackers will never post anything political or anything like that. And we tried to say like, hey, don't post political stuff on the Wisecrackers Allentown page, and they just decided to go against that. And we were like, okay, we're just not gonna do business with it anymore because it wasn't necessary to have, something on our page making us look kind of bad.
Right.
But now, I mean, I would like to open another Allentown location. I've talked to a couple people down there, but it just was one of those things. And then before the pandemic, we were also looking at Atlantic City. There was a hotel down there that was interested in opening a club. And the guy that actually used to be the general manager at Mohegan when we first came there was the general manager there, or the CEO, I guess. And he was like, hey, I know a family that actually runs a comedy club. They're really good people, and they'd be great at this. And we went down and we did like test runs, and we did like trial setups of a room and everything. And it was like back and forth. And like, I was actually looking at buying a house in Atlantic City, which if you're looking at buying a house, Atlantic City is the cheapest place to buy one. But if you want to live in Atlantic City, you're probably going to make a bunch of bad life choices. I mean, the beach is nice, but the rest of the town, not so much. Probably why you can get a house for $100,000 there. That's, actually nice. But luckily, knock on wood, we didn't have to move to Atlantic City, or I didn't have to move to Atlantic City, because I mean it was okay at the time. I was like, all right, hello.
There it is. There it is. The cat is.
Thank you.
I'm
petting you. You can sit down. But it was just like one of those things that I didn't really want to move to Atlantic City. It was like, it's 3.5 hours away from everything that I know. And my friends don't visit me in Wilkes-Barre, so it's kind of hard to talk them into going to Atlantic City for a day or two.
Dude, Atlantic City, we joke about it, but I fucking love Atlantic City.
I like it. I mean, there's a lot of good things there. Like the food, there's a lot of good restaurants there. Like not even the ones at the casino. There's like a couple really good ones off the path. Yeah. Like there's a place called Tony's Baltimore Grill. It's not even anything to sound like I don't know why it's called Tony's Baltimore Grill. It might be on Baltimore Ave. I don't remember, but it's Italian food, and it's the best Italian food I've ever had outside of like fresh handmade pasta.
Is that by the Tropicana?
Yeah, so if you walk out of the Tropicana and you go down the long walkway, and you go 2 blocks down and make a left, it's right there.
Okay, I'm wondering if I was there for my bachelor party.
You might have been. I mean, that bar is open 24 hours a day, and then the restaurant's open till 2 a.m. So it's like one of the only bars in Atlantic City that's still grandfathered into the original, like when they opened the casino, they serve liquor 24 hours. The bar still can serve liquor 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
wild.
I'll
have to look that up.
I've spent many nights in there doing terrible things to my body with liquor.
That's what your early years are for.
Yeah.
It sounds like the having it inside of a casino is like the strategic move now. Is that like a purposeful thing?
I really love it. I mean, we've been there for 12 years, 13 years. Whenever the hotel opened, it kind of always blurs together for me on like timeline with that. But I mean, since we've been there, I mean, they treat us like family. They've always been nothing but respectful to us. They really take care of us. During the pandemic, they tried really hard to like figure out a way to get us reopened because we didn't serve food or anything. So they were like trying to figure out like maybe we could bring in like a food truck outside to like compensate for it. And it was just like every loophole that like would be found, it would just close because like we didn't have a liquor license, or it wasn't this, or it wasn't that. So it was just like one headache after another. But I mean, when when they closed the downstairs room we were originally in, and they were like shopping around in the building for a spot for us to go into, they were like, hey, we filled the pool in. Do you want to take the pool over? And
You
I
had
was
a
like,
pool?
yeah, they used to have a pool in the room we're in now.
What?
Used to be, I'm 100% serious. The room we're in now used to be the pool. There's
Wow.
65,000 gallons of concrete filled in below
Wow.
where the seats are in the room.
Damn. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah, actually, if you ever come back out, I'll show you because it's really funny. We have in the back room, it's like a 3 feet by 2 foot or 2 foot by 3 foot metal sign that has like no diving, no unattended
Wow.
children. It's like the sign that was on the wall for no swimming, like for the
Right.
swimming pool. And I've been trying to get a company to like remake it to have the rules of the club, like the club on it.
Wow, yeah.
Because it would just be funny. Like it would only be a nod to like the people that know it used to be the pool,
Yeah.
which is like 4 people.
How long did they have a
Now
pool
everybody
for?
that listens to you. Was that
How long did they have a pool for?
since they opened?
Really?
When they opened the hotel, they had a pool in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, because you're back behind that bar.
Yep.
forgot
Right past Bean and Vine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that they had a pool.
Yeah. I mean, it was really only open to hotel guests. You had to have your
Yeah.
room key to get in there. But
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
never
never
stayed
saw
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw it because I like whenever I'd go up to the hotel, like pre us being upstairs, and when that bar was open before the pandemic, that was like when the comics were like, "Oh, let's go grab a drink after the show," but we don't want to sit on the floor and like see people or be bothered. The hotel bar was like the bar to hang out at because it was quiet. There was nobody really there. You could get service really fast. So it was like one of those nice, like, and I love that bar still. Like, it's a good bar to go to. Eric, our bartender, he doesn't work for us. He works for the casino, but like, he's a great guy and he makes a hell of espresso martini. So,
Wow, my favorite.
yeah. Yeah.
My
I
favorite.
mean, he'll take care of you. He knows what he's doing. It surprises me every time I order a drink. I'm like, this is better than the last one I had. And it's like the first one I had of the night. So
Yeah.
he knows what he's
Nice.
doing.
Yeah. So you didn't come upstairs until the pandemic hit. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
we came up a year and a half after the pandemic.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
we
downstairs.
came up almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to piece together this timeline because, like I said, I was downstairs at one point.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think what year that was. I want to say 2012, maybe 2013.
That probably would have been right after we opened there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been up only one show at the new spot upstairs,
Mhm.
which is shame on me. Well, it's hard. I don't have a lot of free time,
I get it.
but
And
I love comedy, and I feel like comedy has kind of had a resurgence. Maybe I don't know.
yeah,
You would
It's-
know better than me.
the weird thing is it's got a really big resurgence going on right now, but the weird state of comedy is everybody wants like a niche type of comedy. Like people are expecting somebody like Matt Rife or this person or that person. And I have to explain to people like in my daily life that I meet, like these are the people that are gonna be like that or
Right.
open for people like that on a regular basis. Like multiple of my comics open for people like Nate Bargatze, Louis C.K., Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer. Like my comics open for people like this. So you're seeing one step below them of comics. And then like I was at my like the first time I started going to this new dermatologist, I have a girl that I went to high school works at it. And she's like, "Oh my God, Nick Bruce, I haven't seen you since high school." And I was like, "Yeah, because I don't leave my house." And she was like, "Do you still run the club?" And I was like, "Yeah." "How did you know that?" And she was like, "Oh, the last time I saw you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But she was like, "We should all go one night. You should get somebody like Matt Rife." And I'm like, that guy wants like 20 grand a show. And he's expecting to do a place like the Kirby or like, a theater now. Also, it's not going to be the same type of show you're expecting online.
Right.
So the big resurgence in comedies hopefully going to help, but I also can see it being like, I mean, TikTok, this is a thing that like I have to like, this short form TikTok comedy is like really starting to like kill what I think comedy is, because the short attention span of comedy is like making it, people want like nugget of a joke. They
Mm,
want 30 seconds. They don't want boop, 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 boop. They want boop. That's it.
right.
So it's really hurting what I think the comedy industry is and was and can be. They only
Yeah.
want to see the compression burst of comedy.
I wonder if I've fallen victim to that because I went and saw Tom Segura in Philly. Oh man, maybe back in January. And I don't know if it's just like I like Tom, but I feel like it was too much of a story. I had to
Yeah.
follow along too much, and I was like, am I just being, am I falling victim of this short attention span, or is it just kind of his
Did you
way he
like
does it?
Tom before you saw him?
Uh I mean, I don't dislike him, but he's not like my
Okay.
favorite.
Yeah. Because I mean, I it's like one of those things that like, if you watch somebody like Anthony Jeselnik, where it's like these like one liner kind of punchline jokes, or you watch somebody that is Tom, where it's a story, it's a little bit of a difference. But then you go on TikTok or Instagram and you just scroll through the endless reels or
Hmm.
whatever they are now, of just quick short bursts of just here's the joke, or here's crowd work. That's what a lot of people are expecting now when they come to shows.
Yeah,
And I have people come out and say that's the best show they've ever been to, or people say that this is their first show. And I would love to take a poll and actually see what people think of shows. But at the same time, I'm like, anytime I ask somebody who they want, it's always like the same answer. And I'm like, I know what these people want for money. And unless you're paying $150 a ticket, we're not getting them.
sure.
Yeah.
Is that hard to like overcome? Because I feel like people might not understand. You're saying that the comics you have there are people like right under the like the
The big
top dogs,
names.
the big
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, and I don't know that people understand that.
I don't think people understand that. I don't. And it's kind of, it's like one of those things that like you were talking about music before, and it'd be like going to see like Slipknot, and the opening band is Knocked Loose. And then this is like a reference for me because that was a tour that recently happened this past summer. Like, I mean, Knocked Loose played Madison Square Garden with Slipknot, and I saw Knocked Loose in like Reverb in Reading at a venue that's like, the size of my room, if not a little bit bigger. Like, this is a band that you're seeing my comic in a room that seats 130 people, that the next night they're going to be in an arena
Hmm.
opening for the comics you're talking about on Netflix.
Hmm.
You're not, and I think that's like one thing that also like I do it. I promote all three comics that are on my show. Like, so like if you ever look at my ads or on my flyers or anything like that, it's got the headliner, the feature, and the MC. The one thing that I mean, you can't do it with like these big tours for like Segura or anybody like that, because it'll have Tom, but he can't list who all the comics are because he has different comics for each part of the country that he goes
Right,
to.
right,
But I think that like when he's in, say, Philadelphia, it should say Tom Segura tonight with, and then have the names of the other comics listed instead of him just introducing the person over the microphone.
hmm,
Because that person may go up and do 10, 15 minutes, and you may be like, hey, that person was really funny, but I don't remember his name. But you could go back and look at the flyer or something and find it. And a couple comics have started doing that recently, like saying who's on the show with them. Bargetsky does it. And one of my close friends, Justin Smith, opens for him a lot. And I mean, they go, but I mean, he opens for him so much that he was at his house like a month ago, like talking shop. But it's just like one of those things that like now when he's on the show, people can say, hey, I liked Justin Smith. He's going to be at Wisecrackers. I'll go check him out and see his full set. And
right.
that's the theory that I would like to see.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're advertising too, like, do you put, you know, let's say it's Nate Bruce, who's open for Tom Segura or Matt
Yeah.
Rife or whatever. Like, how is that promoted?
I mean, so most of the comics I try to put like, if they have any TV credits, like I put that, like on the Instagram or Facebook flyer, I'll put like what TV credits or if they've been in a movie or anything like that. Some comics will say, "Hey, you can put me as an opener for this comic," but I really don't think it makes a difference if I put the name, if I put an opener in front of it, because like, I mean, some people notice it, some people don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah,
But you're right, though, because I remember when I saw Tom Segura, I don't know who opened for him. I
yeah,
really enjoyed the first guy. I didn't love the second guy, but I couldn't tell you who they were.
yeah. No, and the problem is, I could probably, if you described them to me, I could probably tell you who they were. I know when he opened in Wilkes-Barre, he had Jordan Jensen and I can't remember her. It was Jordan Jensen. She was there. Who was the guy? I can't remember. A bigger dude. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I go to shows and whenever I see a comic, I'm like, oh, I actually know who's on this show. But then there's shows where I go to and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, and I listen for the name because I want to know who they are, and then I write it down or I make a mental note if I'm not drinking, and then I try to remember so I can reach out to them on Instagram later and be like, hey, I saw you open for so and so. I own a club. Do you want to come work? And most of them reply right away because most of my Instagram followers are just comics.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talk about booking that room, right? So you said it's about 130 person or a seat room.
Yeah.
When to get acts in there, and it's just Fridays and Saturdays, correct?
Mhm.
Are people reaching out to you? Are you doing a lot of the outreach for the shows? How does that all kind of work?
A little bit of both. I mean, a lot of comics reach out to me. I hate to admit it, I'm not great at replying to a lot of people because I'm a one-man operation. So I get anywhere between, on a good day, I get low end 50 emails, high end 150 emails. On a bad day, low end 150, high end 200 emails,
Wow.
and like texts and Facebook messages. And it's just like, I'm not scrolling through all this to look for people. And when I do see like names come through that I recognize, I try to like get back to them right away and stuff. But I mean, most of the comics I book, I've been booking for a while. I've known for a while, but then I also ask them for recommendations now because while I watch every comic that comes through on my list of people to book, I try to also book people that may know somebody else. Like, if you recommended a comic to me as a comic, you're more likely to see them more often than I would. So you're going to see them in New York, and you're also going to see them in like bumfuck nowhere. So you'll see them two different sets, two different shows, and you'll know how they'll do in my room. So one of my closest friends in comedy, Sean Donnelly, I love the man to death. He's like my patron saint at this point. I mean, he famously notorious for sending me a text message like, hey, you should book this person, but never giving me the info for the person. And I'm like, okay. And then I just got to find them on Instagram and hope that they see the message. But it's like, thanks, Sean. But I mean, it's just like one of those things that he's like, oh, I worked with them, a million times in New York, but then I just did this one-off show in Connecticut on Wednesday. There was 20 people there, and he crushed for 40 minutes. I think he'd do great at your room, or she'd do great at your room, or they'd do great at your room. And I really like that. Like, I like having somebody to send me a comic that I think will do better in my room than me now just going through and watching 5-minute videos at a time for 15 hours straight and then going, none of these people have made me laugh, but I'm not looking for me. I'm looking for people like you or somebody else in the crowd to laugh at it. And I'm kind of jaded at this point with comedy. Like, I only like a certain type.
Yeah.
nothing, I mean, for me, the funniest thing I've seen this week was a guy was cutting down a tree and the tree fell and crushed him. I mean, that's what made me laugh this week. Like, I'm not funny anymore. I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
I love comedy, but I hate comedy so much.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess if you're around it all the time, it can wear on you a bit.
Yeah, because you're not, I mean, everybody's got different takes on life, and it's not like music where like you can listen to a band and their next album might be completely different than their last one, or a band that's similar to them might be different than them. It's very weird to be in comedy because you'll be listening to like the same act 2 nights in a row, and then Monday morning I got to wake up and put on another video of another comedian, and I'm like, all right, let's see what this guy's take is on buying underwear at Costco.
Well, that sucks too. Like if you're hearing the same set over again, I mean, that second set is
Brutal. Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. And right now we're doing 3 shows. So we're doing one Friday and 2 Saturday until the end of March. So I've heard the same set 3 nights, 3 shows in a row.
Yeah.
Sometimes they change it up, but I mean, for a weekend, you might hear the same material repeated a couple of times. And there's some comics that I won't book anymore that have had the same act for 30 years.
Oh, jeez.
So imagine seeing them once a year, every year for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no more. I'm bringing in all
Well,
new.
I mean, that's the whole, I mean, I love comedy and I'm a big music guy. So like, I love going to see live music, but there's part of me that, and I hate to say it out loud, but like, I might enjoy going to see a comedy show more than a live show, like a music show.
Sure.
Because if you get the right comic, you're laughing fucking for
Yeah.
an hour
Yeah.
straight, which is
Oh,
like
yeah, for sure.
amazing. Like I don't get that same exact feeling at a live music show,
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of these guys, if once they're done touring, they throw that shit out and start over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. But there's some comics that, I mean, they wrote something 20, 30 years ago, and it's still the same thing, almost word for word, beat for beat, year in, year out. And
Seinfeld did that to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
they'll throw
mean,
in like one or two new ones here and there, but I saw him years apart, like 4 or 5 years apart, and it was the same thing. I was like, fuck.
yeah, that's why he refuses to record a special because he hasn't written anything new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could watch Seinfeld, the TV show,
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Easily. I mean, one of my favorite comics right now is Kyle Kinane, and that guy writes
I'm not
like
familiar.
Kyle Kinane's I've been trying to get him for a while now. He's big, but not big, but he's one of my favorites. He writes every year a new hour easily, and he's nowhere near as big as he should be. I think that's my personal opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion. I mean, he's one of the best comics around.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Andrew Schultz special yet?
No, I honestly I don't watch any specials.
No?
No, because
You're just done. You're tapped out.
I'm done. Actually, one of my favorite comics is a British comic, and he was in America for the first time since the pandemic. And I drove up to New York to see him, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take a day to myself. I'm gonna go see the show. I bought a ticket on like a last minute ticket. I drove up. I paid $50 for parking. I walk through Times Square. I get to the venue. I get my seat. I'm like, I'll go grab a drink. $75 for a drink. I'm like, whatever. I'm having a night. And I go and I grab my seat. I'm talking to the people next to me who are British, now living in New Jersey for work. And they're like, oh, it's our first comedy show we've been to since the pandemic. I'm like, it's been 5 years, but okay. And they're like, it's our first time seeing one of our favorite comedians because we're from Britain and we never got to see him there. So now we're getting to see him here. And I was like, yeah, I've never seen him, but I love him on TV and I love his stand up and his podcast and stuff. So I'm going to check him out. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the show and I realize that everyone around me is laughing really hard. And I'm kind of sitting there like not judging, but thinking about the comedy and like watching the show as if I'm like, oh, that was good. This was a good set. That was a good joke. And I was
Right.
like, I'm enjoying the show, but I'm not enjoying the show like I should have enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're too close
And
to
it,
it.
yeah, it was like, it was almost like work for me and it was brutal. And I was like, all right,
I feel sorry for you.
it's all right. I
I
mean,
didn't think about that.
I still find some shows funny. Like I saw Kyle Kinane last year and I saw Nick Mullen last year, and both of those shows were great. And every now and then when I'm at the club, like I'll walk in and I'll catch a couple jokes that'll make me laugh still. But I mean, it's more about the hang with the comics than anything for me. I basically am paying my friends to hang out with me at this point, is my
Okay.
thought.
Well, let's talk about that because comedians, from what I understand, they can be pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
any crazy stories? Are there any like fun hang stories you could share?
Sure. Yeah, tons. I had a comedian, this was probably, I want to say 8 years ago. After the show, he was always like, he's not really a big talker. I think he might be on the spectrum, but he's old enough. He's like, 50 something that like he was never diagnosed. And he was like, after the show in New York, we go to like a strip club or something. And I was like, what? Who's going to strip clubs in New York after a comedy show? And he was like, is there one around here? And I'm like, yeah, there's one like 5 minutes away. Do you want me to drop you off? Like, I don't like strip clubs, but I'll take you one. So we go, and I told him, I'm like, I'm not good at hanging out at strip clubs. Like, I'm much better at a dive bar. Like, take me to your local corner bar, but I'll go and hang out with you at a strip club. So I drive him over I guess it was Dream Girls or G Club. I don't know what it was called.
R.I.P. It just closed.
I know. I just found out about that.
Yeah.
That was like probably the last time I was there and the second time I was ever there. But so we're standing there and I still had my coat on. It was winter. And we get drinks. He doesn't pay for me to get in, which I don't care. It's $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't get me a drink. And I'm like, buddy, I drove you over here. You could at least get me a drink.
Sure.
Like, tit for tat. I would have bought you around. You would have bought me around kind of thing. I'm big on that. So whatever. I'm standing there, have a drink. He wanders off, gets a lap dance, comes back. We're standing talking about comedy. A girl comes over and she's like, what do you do for a living? And I don't like bringing up that I own a comedy club or do anything with comedy. So I just tell her that I paint houses for a living and just kind of like stare at her. So I was like, I don't really,
Maybe the mob.
I'm not here for a dance. I'm not here for anything. I'm here to hang out with this guy, I thought. And after he finished his drink, he's like, you could head out. I'll just hang out here by myself. And I was like, oh, okay. So he took an Uber back, I guess. We've had, most of the wild nights we ever have, we just end up at Cracker Jack's, which is a dive bar down the
Yeah.
street from the casino.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Yeah. Cheap drinks, good
Yeah.
hangs. I mean, just a lot of
Dartboards.
stories back and forth about comedy. Nothing crazy's ever really happened. We've never, one New Year, no, it wasn't New Year's. One night after a comedy show, I had left already. My cousin had gotten a flat tire and she called me to go help her change it. And so I was like driving, I drove to Scranton from Mohegan. And as I was coming back, my phone rings and it was another comedian saying that one of the comedians had gotten into a fist fight at Johnny Rockets in the casino.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, when I left, everything was A-okay. No one was drunk. Nothing was wrong. What happened in like the hour that I was gone? And he was like, actually, it wasn't his fault. He was standing in line talking to a couple in front of him. And the guy behind him thought that the comic was hitting on the guy's wife. So the guy sucker punched him and started like swinging at the comic, and my comic bear hugged him and flipped him over his back.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, I'll be right there. I'll come deal with the cops. So that's probably the wildest thing that's happened in a while.
All right.
Yeah.
And have you gotten any weird requests from comedians when you booked them?
Yeah, I mean, we had Gallagher a long time ago. Guy was a big piece of shit. Meanest man I've ever met. When we first, he came in on Thursday night because the show got canceled, and he was standing there with his manager. And I'm I'm older. I'm 36 now, and but at the time, like, obviously, I know references to drugs. Like, I know the wording and lingo for drugs. But he looks at me and he's like, "Can you get me some dope?" And I was like, "What are you asking for? Like, what kind of, like, when you hear dope, what do you think of?"
Well, I'm older than you are, so I think it's like pot.
Okay, well, that's what he wanted, but my mind, for some reason, I thought heroin. I
Uh,
don't know. And I was like, what are you looking for? Like heroin, coke? Like, what kind of drug do you want, chief? And he was like, weed. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can get you. That's in my car right now. Like, yeah, give me like 5 seconds. How much do you want? Uh, but I mean, he was so mean the whole weekend. He trashed our room, left it a mess. He was rude to everybody that worked there. Um, I just never wanted to see him again. And when he died, my phone that morning blew up with text message. I don't think I've ever gotten any more text messages in my entire life when somebody died. And it was just like, holy shit, did you see he died? 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 Because everybody knows that I hated Gallagher. And I was like, good.
you think that someone smashing shit all the time wouldn't be as angry?
Well, I think his big problem was, I mean, in the 70s and 80s, he was on top of the world as far as comedy went.
Hmm.
And I mean, he was making probably at the time over 1 million or more, like a
Right.
year from doing like
Yeah.
5 shows. And he had 6 HBO specials. I mean, he was like the poster child for HBO at one point for their comedy. And then now he's doing, not to call myself rinky dink, but in his eyes, a rinky dink club
Right.
in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Like, he went from doing arenas and theaters to the basement of a casino. So,
I wonder what that's like.
uh, well, for him, it was embarrassing, I can tell you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I always like think about like even like musicians and I've had the great fortune of like interviewing some of like my favorite bands growing up, like mid '90s, late '90s, early 2000s, and they just haven't had the same amount of success that they had back then. And I mean,
Yeah.
lots of I love all their music, but just commercially they haven't had the same success. But I always wonder like, and I never asked the question because I don't want to like it would be a genuine question for me asking how they deal with it, but I don't want to like put that on a recording and have them have to like answer that
Yeah.
because in the same sense it's like, well, it's just different. We're still making music, we're still recording stuff that we love to do, and it doesn't really matter. But like that's gotta like still be a thing in the back of your head. You go from living one way and you're on top of the world to like, I don't know, playing a side stage somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, it definitely seems like it. I mean, Justin Hawkins, he's the lead vocalist and I maybe guitar player for the band The Darkness.
Yes.
They had that big hit, I
Yeah.
believe, a thing called Love or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
He posed the question, I think, to somebody on like one of his podcasts that was like, would you have rather have one number one hit song that pays you forever and you can just live off that, or would you rather be a band that just continuously tours with no name recognition, essentially? And he was like, I mean, the money's great, but he's like, I miss being able to just go out and play shows and not have people yell my song at me.
Right.
And I was like, that's brutal. Because Gallagher, I mean, was only known for smashing fruit. But
Right.
then you watch his stand up and you find out that he was a racist, sexist, homophobic
Yeah.
dickbag. And you're like, whoa, I didn't come here for an hour long TED talk about Christianity and a guy that hates lesbians. Like,
Right.
Oof. And why interracial marriage is bad.
I don't think I've ever seen a comedy special from him.
Oh, I mean, if you watch the old stuff, it's very dated and like a
Mhm.
lot of the material is rough. But I mean, when I saw him, I mean, this was 10 years ago when we had him. I mean, his material, he had 5 minutes on sporks. He was like, "What's the point of a spoon fork? What God didn't make men with nipples," and it was just like stuff. It was just so, I
Hmm.
mean, insane. He walked a table of roller derby girls to give you an idea of how bad it was. And roller derby girls are some of the toughest women I've ever met in my entire
Yeah,
life.
for
It's
sure.
like roller derby girls, field hockey women, like soccer moms that their a car flipped over on top of their kid. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all I can think of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
And he walked an entire table of them.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how bad he was.
Do you? So I think we're kind of at the tail end of it, but like comedy, it's jokes, but for a while there was always like this big cancel culture.
Mhm.
Do you think that had an impact, a negative impact on comedy as far as cancel culture goes, or do you think this kind of is still kind of pushed through that to a degree?
I mean, I feel like it's pushed through to a degree. I mean, Louis back. A couple other comics are back now that got canceled. I mean, Kevin Spacey's trying to come back. I know he wasn't a comic, but I mean, the man allegedly did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a thing. It's still a thing in like in the community. Like we're still like people are still are like nervous and worried about it. I mean, Aziz Ansari got canceled for something that he literally didn't even do. Like the girl even came out and said that like all he did was take me on a date that didn't go well, and then we slept together and it like went bad or whatever. Like I don't even know the whole story, but it was just like something that he was like, you know, why won't you sleep with me? I'm famous kind of thing. But then they ended up sleeping together anyway. It was just such a weird, like the whole cancel culture thing. I get it and I don't get it at the same time. If it's somebody like, I mean, Chris D'Elia had stuff thrown at him. He's
Hmm.
still working. People still support him. People still talk about him. And it's like one of those things that I'm like, this guy was talking to 16-year-old girls and we're still going to be okay with this.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you don't hear his name as much as you used to, but like, I was watching something with Whitney Cummings on it the other day and she brought him up and they were like, whoa, we don't talk about him. And she's like, why? He's a good guy. And they're like,
Hmm.
I get that you're friends with him, but like all right, don't
Yeah.
defend people until, it's actually something that can be proven that it wasn't there. I'll never stick up for anybody until it's there. But I mean, if it's somebody that I know personally, show me proof.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like cancel culture is one of those things that at this point, like, it did have a big negative impact for a little bit. I mean, it was a lot of like, oh, you can't say that anymore, you're canceled. And I think it's actually now having a negative impact in a bad way. Like it's now making people that are very unfunny very big in certain communities with this like cancellation of stuff. Like right or left, there's a comedian, keep politics out of it. There's a comedian out of Texas. I won't say her name. I'm not going to say who she is. I shouldn't even have said she's from Texas. Uh, but she, after the Super Bowl, tweeted, I guess this is the N-wordification of America. So, and she's getting gigs like canceled left and right because of it.
Yeah.
But then she'll go on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and like just lay one out about how the left's trying to cancel her because of freedom of speech. And I'm like, that's not necessarily freedom of speech. That's not even comedy.
Yeah, that's irresponsible.
That's poor taste and that's not good word. Like and then you watch some of her material and it's just like she will drop stuff that like she'll say stuff that you shouldn't say at all and be like, oh, you're not laughing because you're left, you're
Right.
this, you're that, you're all too woke for this joke. And I'm like, no, they're not laughing because it's not funny.
Right.
That's the difference. And I'm not saying that as somebody that is like left leaning or anything. I'm saying that as somebody that's been in comedy literally my entire life.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll laugh at somebody saying offensive stuff.
Right.
You can go up and say whatever you want, just make it funny.
Right.
She's saying stuff that's
not funny. Yeah.
Yeah, she's saying stuff that's just like, it's basically like that Family Guy sketch where Lois is running for mayor or whatever, and it's just at the end of it, every time she just says 9/11 and everybody just starts clapping. She's basically just doing that by saying like, oh, you're too woke for that at the end of the joke. And everybody's like,
yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like, and then she's, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I can't get into that rant because it's like,
no, it's I try and
like, look, I get it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I get it. I am too.
Yeah,
but,
we are.
It's just like,
and
this is just, you're getting too far out of it.
Yeah, I think what happens is, yes, we're all entitled to our own opinion, but like social media gives us too much access to say those things, and people forget there's consequences. Like,
yeah,
that would be like me saying it like in a room full of people and them not appreciating it and then wanting to punch me in the face. Like,
yeah,
that's a consequence. Like,
yeah.
so same thing. If you want to take these veiled shots at people or doing whatever you're doing, like, you have to understand that there's consequences for your actions.
Yeah, I mean, you can write a funny racist joke, but you have to make it funny.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's just that's how comedy has to be. Like, everybody will turn a blind eye to somebody saying something if it's well structured and it's well written and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just out here saying stuff because it'll make people mad, there's a different story.
Yeah, don't get upset when people are mad.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, you can't be mad at me. I'm just speaking my mind. No, we can be mad at you because you're calling yourself a comedian. I'm mad at you for calling yourself a comedian when you're just going on stage for an hour and standing there just saying shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's a different ballpark.
What fascinates me about comedy too is just like, it's not just get up there and ripping jokes. It's the writing process. Like, I know you probably won't watch it, but the Andrew Schultz comedy special was one of the funniest things I've seen since Shane Gillis's from like 2 or 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But like, just, I'm familiar with comedy. Like, I don't just watch it for face value. I kind of like appreciate the ins and outs of it. So like, when I was watching it, it was funny, but I'm like, this is just so well done. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's like really special about comedy too, is, it's not always something that these guys or girls believe in. It's just that that they can take something and, turn it into a joke. Like, stuff that you and I just might think about, or not even think about. And they're able to like take that moment and expand upon it and make it fucking funny. Like, that's what's amazing about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate good writing. I mean, that's a great point example to like the last case with cancel culture. Like, Shane Gillis went through the whole cancel culture thing and came out a shining diamond on the other end.
Yeah, bigger than ever.
I mean, he said the stuff he said, and there's a lot more stuff out there that he said, and I've known Shane quite a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had him a couple of times at our club, and I tried to have him back like right after he got canceled, but the higher powers than me was like, no, that's probably a bad idea. And I was like, no, we should strike while the iron's hot, because like, I had a good rapport with him. Like, I mean, I got real fucked up with him. Like, I got real drunk with him. And like, I hung out with him a couple of times. He's a good guy. He's very friendly. He's very shy. He's very like a very nice guy off stage. Like, he
seems like
different than he is. Like, the personas are completely different people. But like, he was, I was like, we should get him back. But now you've got people that are out there that see people like him succeeding doing what he's done and said and stuff and saying, "Oh, I should just say that on stage." And I'm like, "No, there's a difference. Shane's
No.
funny. They're not." But the Schultz stuff, I mean, like, I might watch it. I might put it on in the background while I'm working or something. But I like good joke writing. I appreciate it very much. I mean, that's like I can tell within if somebody sends me a 5-minute clip, I can tell within 2 to 3 minutes if it's a good if they're a good fit for my room or not. I mean, some of the people that I've booked in the last year or two, 5, 10, 15-minute clips within a time frame, I can tell right away because I can tell joke structure so far ahead that if it changes pace, I'm like, that's much better. Okay, I see where this is going. All right, that's good, perfect. It's like music in my ears at this point. Like,
Right.
you can see the notes on the piano, I can see the jokes written a mile away. But I'm at the point where I've heard enough comedy that I know what a structure can be for it. And speaking of like people just getting up on stage, we do have a contest that's now open to the public, and it's $25 to sign up. Signups are currently live. That'll end May 25th, and the first start of the contest is June 1st. It's open to anybody that thinks they're a comedian, anybody that wants to try comedy, anybody that's done open mic nights, anything like that. You're more than welcome to sign up. Just don't use the N-word or the C-word on my stage, please. But I mean, other than that, if you think you're funny, give it a try. See it.
And what's
see it for
this
yourself.
called? What's this
It's
called?
going to be called. It's actually the first ever NEPA's Funniest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they sign up. They can sign up online.
You can sign up right on our website, wisecrackers.biz, B-I-Z. And there's a big purple box there that shows all the details about it. The prizes are great. First prize is $500 plus an MC spot at our room. We've partnered with Emmaus Theater, Soul Joel's out of Sunnybrook down in I forget where Soul Joel's is located. Been there a million times, can't remember what town it's in. You just drive there.
Yeah.
Harrisburg Comedy Zone. You'll get an MC spot at those. So it's a pretty big deal.
So what is an MC spot?
15 minutes. 12 to 15 minutes. You host the show, essentially.
Got it.
You're the face of the show. You go up before everybody. You warm the crowd up. You get them going. Then you bring up all the other comics. But it's like a good foothold in the door kind of thing.
Right.
Every comic that has ever started always starts as a feature or as an MC. But in New York, if you're a good MC, like some of my headliners are great MCs in New York and will do that every night and it pays their bills. You can, at some clubs in New York, you can make $25 a spot and you can do 10 spots a night in New York. So it's, you're not making big money, but you're doing a lot of spots, and stage time is the most important thing in comedy.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get.
That's something I don't think people understand is the amount of time that is put into comedy. You don't just get up there and do it. It's like anything else. You gotta put the time in.
I mean, everybody always says it takes 10,000 hours to master something. I think comedy is way more than 10,000 hours. I know people that have been doing it 25 years and still suck.
Yeah.
But then again, I know people that have been doing it 5 years and are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like phenomenal. Some of the best I've seen in 20 years.
I'll ask you a question just because you may not watch it, but I'm sure you're aware of it. The Kill Tony stuff. Do you watch that at all?
No, I am aware of it. I know it. I was actually at my barber about 2 weeks ago, and one of his other barbers had it on when I got there, and I was like, I don't want to watch this.
You don't like the concept?
I don't like the concept. I don't like the idea of it. I feel like it's more of a mockery of the people doing it than anything else.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, also the other big thing about it is I think that's hurting comedy more than cancel culture right now.
Really?
Yeah. because a lot of these people don't have the time they're doing. So some of these people are getting booked to do 45 minutes to an hour at like Helium or clubs in New York or all over the country. Yuck Yucks in Canada. Like these people are getting booked to do an hour based off of 2-minute spots, a minute spot for they've done 25, 30-minute 1-minute spots, 2-minute spots, but now you're asking them to do an hour.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. That's a massive difference. We have a big saying at our club. It's better to kill in 45 than die in an hour.
Sure.
So, I say that for every comic. If an MC's going up to do 12 to 15, I say it's better to kill in 12 than die in 15. Features doing 25 to 30, same thing, So bring your best for that time. And these people are bringing, 2-minute jokes. I mean, there's some people that have come out of it that I do think do have potential, but I don't think a lot of them are anything to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of garbage, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that they were, well, a lot of those guys too have been doing it for a long time. Like Ari Matty, he's been doing it for like 12 years, so it's not like they just found him there. But yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to actually see like a full set of them, but there's like that what was it, that the David Lucas guy?
Yeah, see, he seems funny.
I watched some of it and I just didn't get it. I mean, he put out that half-hour special, and I don't even think it was a full half hour. I think it was 27 minutes, and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah,
and like somebody spent money to make that. Like they spent a lot of money, because I know what it cost to make Paul's special, and they paid way more than what we paid. Like it's big money to film something.
yeah.
So, and I don't think it was worth putting to film right away.
Right.
I would have waited a little bit longer and got a better 30.
He probably felt like he was, because him and Tony back and forth is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that's just
him on his own.
Yeah, that's just back and forth, and you know.
That's the thing. Like that's where the thing that I said earlier comes in. Like, I'm funny on this level.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can, if we're making fun of each other, I'll riff with you all night. You want me to riff on my own against something? You get me on one of my rants about something completely stupid. Like, if I'm in a bar and I just lose my mind about, people over the age of 65 not being allowed to drive, it's an hour and a half long rant about people not being allowed to drive that you're just going to be laughing the whole time. But it's just me being serious.
Right.
Like, it's not me being trying to funny. It's like me being serious. And it's like, there's a difference between like the funny back and forth than there is funny being like talking to funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think they should or shouldn't be driving?
No, they shouldn't be driving.
Okay, good. All right.
No. Nobody over the age of 65 should be driving.
I always joke that I could probably drive better hammered drunk than they can drive sober.
Oh, yeah.
At 65.
Absolutely.
Not that I'm out drinking and driving. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is all hypothetical, but yeah. I have never had 12 double tequila sodas and driven home from a bar and hit anything. Just saying.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I've watched my mom, who is 70, back into a telephone pole twice in one day. In the same parking lot.
At a mile an hour.
Yeah, at a mile an hour. And backup camera and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
we have the technology now.
You hit an unmovable object. You knew it was there. You hit it.
Oh, man. Yeah, we could probably go on forever about that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I would lose my mind talking about it, because it is just... I mean, I was on my way to Philly today to buy wheels for my car. That's a whole story. But I was just like, it's a 3-lane highway. I'm in the middle lane. I'm doing, let's say, allegedly 80 miles an hour. But I'm keeping up with traffic. Sure. And all of a sudden, I see a silver Buick in front of me. And I'm like, that car's doing 65 miles an hour. and I get over to pass it. And as I pass it, it's just a woman that is 3 inches from the steering wheel,
Mm-hmm.
glasses this big, both knuckle, like white knuckle in the steering wheel. And I'm like, you are going to kill somebody because
Yeah.
you are middle lane doing the speed limit at rush hour outside of Philadelphia.
Do you think
No
they're
one.
scared? Do you think they're scared? Do you think they're just like, fuck it?
I both. I think they're terrified, and they're also like, well, I need to get to church or Trader Joe's or wherever they're going.
Yeah.
Like they just like, I mean, in this day and age, call your grandson, have him order your groceries, and they'll be delivered by somebody that you won't like, but they'll get delivered.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying, my grandmother had a lot of words to use.
I'm aware. It's funny how people of that age are like that. But that's a different.
It's a different story
For a different
It's a different
day,
podcast. That's the I can't believe they still allow this to happen podcast.
Yeah. Who are some of the big names that you've had come through there? I real quick, I apologize.
It's all right.
I introduced you as the manager of Wisecrackers Comedy Club. I didn't realize you were also like the owner.
I say it all. I mean, I'm my title on pretty much everything that is tax related says owner, co-owner, but I tell
What does your
people
email say? Does your email say manager? Because
I don't know what my email says. That is a good question. It might say email, it might say manager, but I don't think I've changed it.
I have to find out now because I feel
No, it
disrespectful.
doesn't say anything. It just says thank you, Nicholas.
Mm.
I don't feel bad about that. I put manager in there to send to you because I didn't want to like.
Yes, that's what it says. Yeah, subject line.
I don't
manager
like big. I don't like big leaguing people.
I understand.
I'm not that kind of guy. Like whenever I meet people in public that I don't want to tell I own a comedy club to, I say that I'm a beer salesman. So that's pretty much what I am. Like,
Well, I mean, the reason like I've spent my entire career working with local business owners, so like I have like a huge amount of respect and admiration for people who own businesses
yeah,
because that's obviously, as you know, it's not an easy thing to do. So I would have been like, oh, this fucking guy thinks he's fucking telling me, or so
no,
I just like I like to
you
know.
wouldn't have insulted me either way.
I like to know though. I like to know is what I'm saying.
I mean, if you saw me, I'm wearing underwear that looks like jeans right now, so you would have.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's nice because then I can go out and get the mail and nobody thinks I'm not wearing pants. But it's like one of those things that like it's whatever. It's a job title. I do what I do.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, I wish
I'm not rolling in dough over here. I can tell you that.
Well, I guess I just asked a question about biggest name, but like I guess
we've had a lot of big names come through our place. We had our opening weekend at Mohegan. We had Daryl Hammond from SNL.
Okay.
We've had Brad Williams, who's blowing back up. He's a little person. He's been on what's the show with the Australian guy? It was an FX show. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Jim Jeffries show. We've had Gallagher. Who cares about that? Shane Moss. He was on Netflix twice and Comedy Central a couple times. But every weekend, I mean, Julia Scotty's one of our biggest names. She's been like family to us since we opened, like early 2000s opened. My dad's known her. This is a spoiler alert. She's trans. So my dad's known her since she was a man. And I love Julia. So that's no disrespect to her at all.
Sure.
Like Julia's, I think, a second mother to me at this point in my life. Like, I love her dearly. She was on America's Got Talent. She was a semifinalist on America's Got Talent one year. She was in a couple movies, like as background and in like main character supporting role type things. She's got a documentary out about her and stuff, but she is just an amazing human. We've had, there are so many people. I mean, every weekend We have somebody that's been on the Tonight Show, Late Night, Conan, Colbert, you name it.
Now, are
We've
you
had
selling
somebody.
shows out every weekend?
No,
I feel
not
like
even
we need. I
remotely.
feel like we need to like get the Wisecracker's name blown up.
I if you can tell me how, I am trying real hard to figure it out. I mean, the whole point of this contest is to help us make it through the summer so we don't lose money.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, because I realistically at the end of the day, as much as I say that like I hate comedy, I have never been in this for money. So realistically, what I am is a business owner, but somebody that pays my employees first.
Right.
And right now, my only employees is myself and my mother, who helps from time to time, a lot of the time, and then all the comics.
Sure.
Every single comic I consider not just an employee, but family and friends, and they all get paid before I do.
Hmm.
Every single one of them. Last year, I was on unemployment from July until December to make sure that the comics got paid before I did. And I still woke up every day, put on a t-shirt and underwear, and sat down and booked, watched tapes, cleaned tables, checked the microphone, made sure the lights were working, cut and recorded videos for the comics. I'm making sure that this club stays what it is and what it was. It's a comedy club for comics by comics. And at the end of the day, I want NEPA to know that we're a family run business, that no matter what happens, you're not going to have a bad show there. And it's because I put so much of myself into every single one of them. I literally, between shows on Saturday nights, wiping down tables, pouring sweat, because I am not I'm 265 pounds, covered in hair, wearing jeans and a long hoodie, or whatever I'm wearing that night, wiping down tables, vacuuming, throwing chairs around the room to make sure that the first show, because usually the first show during the winter we have a fundraiser that we donate half the ticket cost to a fundraiser, like a local event, local charity, anything like that. Like we had a Rescue Warriors cat rescue this past weekend. We have a soccer tournament or something this weekend, like a soccer league. We do so much for charity. We just want to make sure that everybody else is taken care of before us. And then people will open the door and be like, "It's 9 o'clock, the door's not open." And I'm like standing there with the vacuum in my hand, like, "There's two of us. Give me 5 more minutes."
Yeah.
And then I quick wipe my face off with a paper towel and stand out there and pass out tickets to make sure that the show goes on.
Yeah. What would you say, like, why should people come to Wisecrackers?
You're never going to have the same experience twice unless you see the same comic twice, but sometimes it changes because the comic changes their act so often. We're nothing against the other clubs in this area, but we are in this the longest, and we know the most about comedy. Also, what you see is what you're going to get every time, unless something drastic happens, which is in the last 25 years of business and the last 15 years of business for me taking over. The amount of times that we've had comics cancel day of show or something's changed has been 8. I can count on 2 hands 8 times that we've had to change a comic last
That's pretty
minute.
good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Yeah. And it's almost always like completely out of their control or our control. Like one comic got COVID the week that COVID started.
Yeah, that doesn't count. So it's like
That
7.
doesn't count. Then another comic, the most recent stuff, like we had a comic in December have to cancel because his car died on the way to the gig. Like he pulled off to stop and see his father, got back in the car, started it, would not start, blown engine. So couldn't make it to the gig. It was Friday, 4 o'clock. I found somebody within 20 minutes. So you're getting the same show. We had comics 2019 I was on my way to New York for a concert, and I look out the window on 80, and I was like, boy, that traffic jam looks bad. Like, looks really bad. And as I kept going through New Jersey, I was like, this is getting worse. And like all my friends in the car were like, is that going to affect your show tonight? I'm like, it shouldn't. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Those comics should either be at the hotel or they'll leave later. And then when I got to New York, I started getting phone calls from the comics who were on their way there. And they're like, we're stuck in a traffic jam. And according to the police that drove by, it's going to be 14 hours till we start moving.
Wow.
And I was like,
Yeah, I saw it.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I saw something and I wasn't sure it was going to be 14 hours worth of traffic jam. And one of the comics, Aaron Berg, great guy, drove across the median, went back up towards New York, drove down to Allentown, drove up from Allentown to Wilkes-Barre, and got there. He was supposed to go on stage at 10, let's say. He got there at 9:59. Left New York at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
Got there at 9:59. Came apparently to my mom was running the room that night because I was out of town. He came running down the hallway with suitcase in hand to get to the show. So I will always make sure the show goes on.
You're well respected. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. Well, you mentioned the first ever NAPA's Funniest. Submissions for that are over on May 25th.
Yes.
And then that starts what you said, June
1st.
And is that like a one-day event or is that like a weekly thing?
No, it's going to be rounds. So every Sunday from June 1st until September 7th, I think. Let me double check that.
I'm curious how that's
September 7th.
So
we're basing it off of if 100 people sign up. Okay. We're going to have to do rounds of every comic. So the first round is going to be 5 minutes. And it'll be, if 100 people sign up, I'm just going to have to figure out how many people I can put on each show for the first rounds. So June 1st until July 20th will be round 1.
Okay.
And that'll be 5 minutes. Then so round 2.
They perform and then they're voted on, or how does it work?
Yeah, they're voted on. It'll be judges and audience vote. So if you say Johnny, will be up there and you sign up for it, if you bring 10 people, you automatically have 10 votes for you right there.
Right.
So
bring people out.
Bring people out. And then the second round is 8 minutes. Then that's from July 27th until August 17th. And then the 24th is the final semifinals, which is 1 round only. And that'll be however many comics we whittle down from whatever we sign up to until that. And then the finals will be 3 winners out of whatever we have there. Yeah.
And that's all at your place?
Yep, right in our room.
Very cool.
Yeah. Pretty excited. They did something like this at Emmaus last year. Caroline's does something kind of like this. They call it March Madness at Caroline's in New York. I don't know if they still do it. They haven't done it in a while. Helium's the most famous for it. Helium in Philly does Philly's Funniest. And we're basing it off their similar layout and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So outside of this first ever NAPS Funniest, what's next for Wisecrackers? What are your plans for the future?
Plans for the future right now? I'm going to try to work on some bigger names. We've got some stuff in the works coming up for next year, like in the fall, probably. Well, this year, but the fall. Summer's always never great for us. But starting in probably September, you'll start seeing like bigger, like once a month, bigger names, hopefully. And that'll go from there on. we're gonna start looking at that. Um, but other than that, same great shows, new faces every so often, new faces every weekend if you've never been.
Yeah, we gotta figure out a way to get people more aware of what's going on there.
Yeah,
Because I mean, like, there's no other place, and maybe there isn't. It's not on my radar. When I think about comedy, I mean, there's these pop up things that are going on now, like
yeah, the don't
don't tell
tells.
comedy. Yeah,
Yeah, we partner with those a lot.
cool. So, but like, there's nowhere, outside of an open mic night, there's nowhere really to see a comedy show that I know of.
I mean, there's one other one, but I mean, I'm not going to talk about that one. That's a lot of like,
Tell me after we're done.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah. I mean, and again, I've seen a show at your place. I had a lot of fun. Um, Paul was hilarious, and who was the other guy that was with him?
Jeremy Pryle.
No, maybe he was
Oh,
there, but
Tyler Rothrock.
Tyler
Yeah,
Rothrock,
yeah,
uh, Tot Finder, one of the best jokes I've ever heard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've got that sticker actually. My podium that I sell tickets from. I like to think of it as like the punk rock bathroom stall of comedy
yeah.
comics stickers. So I just slap them on
I'm gonna call
slowly.
him out right. I'm gonna call him out right now. He said he's gonna send me stickers like months ago. Still
Oh,
hasn't
okay,
done it.
son. Yeah.
Still hasn't done it yet.
I mean,
Tyler,
Tyler's brain is as mushy as mine right now,
I know
probably.
it, dude. He's hilarious. I just got a package from a band that interviewed the Suicide Puppets,
Oh, nice.
and I'm like, oh, I'll do like an unboxing type thing for some content purposes, and I think I got it like when did this come? Yeah, it was weeks ago, and I still haven't got to it. So I understand
Yeah.
the we're all very busy, you know.
Yeah. Just
But yeah, we
forgetful.
gotta figure out a way because like it's a cool room. It's not
Thank
enough people know or that it's there. It exists. I think that what how important is it to you to be in the casino? Not that I'm saying you should move, but I mean I'm just saying like what are the benefits of that? Built-in
I mean,
audience?
it's the audience, the access to a hotel for the comics.
Sure.
That's a big thing for us because when we used to be at other rooms, we'd have to. The casino is super gracious with that. They give us 3 rooms per weekend for free right off the bat, which is beautiful. Our deal with the casino has just always been great. They've always just treated us really well. I mean, they rebuilt the pool into. I mean, they use it for other stuff during the week, but I mean, they give us free reign of that room during the weekends and whenever we need it. Um, if I would have been able to choose the pink color, that probably was the only thing that I had an issue with. But I mean, that room sits empty all week for us, and they don't really give us any hassle about anything. We were
So
actually just had a meeting the other day about getting an LED sign right outside for us.
nice.
So
I
it's
see a
just
lot of like
all.
pop-up banners now floating around the casino too.
Yeah, we have 2 of those. They're broken, so we need to get new ones. I thought we got the cardboard lightweight ones, so if they needed to move them, it would be easier. But I was thinking about getting like the ones that like it's like a metal base and they like pull up from the bottom.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
casino uses those for their own work, so I was like, well, if that's the ones they use, why don't I just get those too?
yeah.
I mean, Fast Signs is just so easy to work with. You just send them a file; it's like ready in like a day.
Yeah. I was just talking to Mindy.
Oh yeah, Mindy's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing a Burger Mania event on Wednesday at Molly O'Shea's,
Oh nice.
and I forget how you even got brought up. Something about I forget. And I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Nick in like about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I see Mindy. I don't see her that often anymore because, like, I'm basically there only Fridays and Saturday nights. So, like, if I'm there during the day, I run into people. But I mean, it is just, it's so weird to like walk through there and people be like Nick, and I turn around and I'm like, oh hey,
yeah,
because like everybody in the casino, no, like none of the people that like aren't lower, like security doesn't know who I am, but all the higher ups know who I am, which is really fun. But then like I go onto the floor and I'm like just going to get a drink or a burger or a snack, and I get carded, and I'm like, I've been here for 12 years. I'm technically not an employee, but an employee here. And like, I have a badge that says I work there, but I don't wear it because like I don't have anywhere to put it. So it's like I have to get my ID out. I'm like, look at me.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not calling you old, but you're definitely over 21.
Yeah, I definitely am over 21. I mean, a lot of the comics I walk with sometimes don't look 21, but like clearly I'm their dad most of the time.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to figure something out.
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking at billboards and stuff, so that's hopefully the next goal.
Well, it just so happens I work for a billboard company.
Oh, well, perfect.
Just so you know.
All right. Good to know.
It is good to know.
Yeah, I didn't know. The only two things I know about you is that Paul introduced us, kind of, and you've been to one of our shows. I listened to one of your episodes recently because I just don't have time to listen to anything. And I was like, I'll just listen in case there's like stuff that I buy. Because I got duped on a podcast recently that I was expecting one thing, and then it turned into me showing my ass. So I was like, I'm not doing this again.
I mean, if you want to show your ass, you're well welcome to, but I'm not going to.
No, thanks. Yeah. No, this one will actually get listeners. I think that one got
good.
canned.
I'm not.
I think they cut my section because I came onto the podcast thinking that it was a serious podcast. They took it another way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll wrap this up, and then we'll chat for a couple minutes and I'll let you go because this is getting late. About some other things, but so yeah, big thing coming up. First ever NAPA's Funniest submissions for that start.
They're going on right now.
Going on right now, through May 25th. So if you're interested in that, head over to wisecrackers.biz. 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 Cool. And then obviously I get your calendars there too for upcoming shows.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, I mean, again, I said in the beginning, I knew of Wisecrackers when it was on almost on the square in Wilkes-Barre,
Pennsylvania Ave.
By Janetti's. Yep, I was right there across the street. Yep. And then I know you moved to the casino. I was downstairs in that room, and then I've been upstairs in the one you're at now. So I want to see the future of Wisecrackers be very bright. So
all I want.
I'll do whatever I can to help because I think it's important. I think comedy is important. I think the art is important. I think the local business is important. So yeah. But yeah, check out Wisecrackers at Mohegan, Pennsylvania inside the casino. And Nick, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
The pleasure's all on this side of the table, and I appreciate all of that very much from you. Thank you.
I wish you the best, and if I can ever do anything to help, I would be more than happy to.
Same. You've got a table anytime you want to come in.
That sounds great. That sounds awesome. Nick Bruce, Wisecrackers Comedy Club. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. See you.